Imagine a tiny shift in how you think, one so small it almost seems insignificant. Yet, that single shift holds the power to unlock the entrepreneur within you, transforming not just your career, but your entire life. This is the story of David, a story that proves your biggest obstacle isn't out there in the world, but right between your ears. And it's an entrepreneur mindset story that could change everything for you. David was in his early 20s, living in a quiet suburb just outside Phoenix, Arizona. From the outside, he seemed like any other young guy. He had a decent, if unexciting, job as an office assistant, a small apartment, and dreams that felt too big for his reality. He'd scroll through social media, seeing others build businesses, travel the world, and live with passion, and a knot of envy and longing would twist in his stomach. He wanted that. He truly did. He dreamed of building something of his own, something impactful, something that would give him true freedom. He had countless business ideas scribbled in notebooks, a custom t-shirt brand, a local tech repair service, an online course for pet owners. But that's where they stayed, scribbled ideas. Every morning, David would wake up with a familiar sense of dread. The alarm blared, and his first thought wasn't about seizing the day, but about how many more hours until he could be back in bed. His evenings were a blur of mindless TV, takeout food, and endless scrolling on his phone. He'd tell himself he was resting, but deep down, he knew he was just avoiding. Avoiding the blank page, avoiding the difficult emails, avoiding the first tiny step towards his dreams. He was stuck in a rut, not because he lacked talent or intelligence, but because he was paralyzed by something far more insidious, a fixed mindset. This fixed mindset told him a story. You're not smart enough, David. You've never been good at sales. You don't have the connections. Successful entrepreneurs are born, not made. Remember that time you tried to sell those handmade keychains in high school? Nobody bought them. You just don't have what it takes. Every small setback, every perceived failure, became proof of his fundamental inadequacy. He saw challenges as impossible walls, not as puzzles to solve. Criticism felt like a personal attack on his very being, shutting him down completely. His fear of failure was so strong that it became a self-fulfilling prophecy. By refusing to try, he guaranteed he would never fail, but also never succeed. The turning point didn't arrive with a grand explosion or a sudden revelation from a wise old guru. It was a slow burn, fueled by quiet desperation. One particularly frustrating Tuesday evening, David found himself staring at his overflowing inbox, another failed attempt at starting his online course idea, mocking him from a half-finished Google Doc. He felt a wave of nausea. He was tired. Tired of the same routine, tired of the self-doubt, tired of watching his dreams gather dust. He threw his laptop across the couch, the frustration bubbling over. "There has to be another way," he muttered to the empty room. Later that night, unable to sleep, he stumbled upon an old podcast interview he'd saved months ago but never listened to. It was with a successful entrepreneur who spoke not about their triumphs, but about their numerous failures and how each one taught them something crucial. The speaker mentioned a concept, the growth mindset. It wasn't about being smart. It was about believing that your abilities, your intelligence, your skills could be developed through hard work and dedication. Failure, the speaker said, is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. That phrase hit David like a lightning bolt. Failure is part of success. Not a sign of weakness, not proof you're not good enough, but a necessary step on the journey. It was such a simple idea, yet it shattered years of ingrained thinking. What if everything he believed about himself was wrong? What if he could learn? What if his intelligence wasn't fixed, but expandable, like a muscle? This tiny mindset shift was the spark he needed. The next morning, David woke up before his alarm for the first time in years. He didn't feel a magical burst of energy, just a quiet determination. He didn't suddenly quit his job or launch a multi-million-dollar startup. Instead, he started small, focusing on one single, actionable step. He decided to dedicate 30 minutes every morning to learning. Not his business ideas yet, just learning. He picked up a book on digital marketing, a topic he'd always found intimidating. He committed to reading just one chapter, no matter how hard it felt. Those first few weeks were a battle. His old habits screamed at him to sleep in, to scroll on his phone. But he pushed through. When he didn't understand a concept, instead of giving up, he reread it or looked it up online. He started treating mistakes not as personal failings, but as puzzles to solve. He learned to ask, "What did I learn from this?" rather than, "Why am I so bad at this?" This was the heart of the entrepreneur mindset, resilience and a relentless pursuit of learning. After a month, David felt a tiny flicker of confidence. He'd finished the digital marketing book and felt a surprising grasp of the basics. He then decided to tackle his t-shirt brand idea. Instead of trying to design 50 shirts at once, he focused on one design, researching suppliers and printing methods. His first attempt at ordering samples was a mess. The colors were wrong and the quality was poor. The old David would have quit then and there. But the new David, armed with his nascent growth mindset, saw it as a lesson. He called the supplier, learned about print-on-demand options, and adjusted his strategy. He built a simple online store, spending hours learning basic web design. It wasn't perfect, far from it. He launched it, nervous. Sales were slow, agonizingly slow. He got a few negative comments on his social media ads. The fear tried to creep back in, whispering, "See? I told you so." But he fought back. He revisited his designs, asked for feedback from friends, and studied successful brands. He realized that every failure was just data, guiding him toward a better solution. Slowly, painstakingly, things began to shift. He started getting a few sales, then a few more. He learned to enjoy the process, the problem-solving, the constant learning. His income from the t-shirt business grew steadily, allowing him to cut down his hours at his day job. He was no longer just an office assistant. He was an entrepreneur, actively building something. His entire approach to life changed. He started taking better care of himself, exercising, and eating healthier because he saw his body and mind as tools to be developed, not just something to cope with. David's journey is far from over. He's not a millionaire yet, but he's on a clear path. His t-shirt brand is now his full-time venture, and he's exploring new product lines. More importantly, he's a different person. He faces challenges with a calm determination, knowing that every obstacle is an opportunity to learn and grow. He understands that the most valuable asset any entrepreneur can possess isn't a brilliant idea or a huge bank account, but an unbreakable growth mindset. This isn't just about starting a business, it's about mastering your mind. Because when you change your thinking, when you embrace a true entrepreneur mindset, you don't just change your life, you build a legacy. And that, my friends, is a mindset shift powerful enough to transform everything.